Coming to you live from deep within an icy... Was that a notification? I heard a buzzing.
Mic muted. My mic
Yeah,
was...
I know you were muted. Someone had a notification. Okay, never mind.
My phone
Coming
vibrated.
to you live... someone's phone vibrated. It wasn't me. I'm not vibrating. Okay, coming to you live from deep within an icy radioactive
Coming to you live
You're the
from
survivors
deep
of the
within an
alt-right
icy-
apocalypse. Was that a notification?
The few, the brave, the bitchy, once more wading into battle
heard a
against
buzzing.
the froggy
Muted.
hordes with Rantzerker 77. Emma Watson says men should thank feminism, or else.
Or else.
Or else. And there's gonna be a lot of clicking in the show, I think. A lot of clicking and buzzing for some unspecified reason.
You know, I had a notification come in at that very moment, but my mic was muted, so I don't know how...
No, somebody's vibrating in here.
Oh,
It's not me. But
wasn't me.
yeah, okay, well then let's just get stuck into this. I guess I could say some words that are words.
Say no words.
Say no words. Okay.
Say your
I'm not allowed to
words.
say any words.
You have the best
Okay,
words.
say my words.
They're tremendous.
Best
I'll
word.
tell you.
Believe
I'll
me.
do the best
They're
words.
huge. It's
They're
gonna be huge. Just terrific. Like some really terrific words.
Just terrific.
All right, let's get on with this. Let's fucking, why prolong things by delaying the torture? Let's just fucking listen to Emma Watson and try to sound smart.
Let's do it.
Oh, where the fuck did Allison go?
She dropped. She's
For
back.
fuck's sake, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, all right. I'm done with this. All right. Just if you enjoy the content, God knows why you would. Please go to Patreon, www.patreon.com/honeybadgerradio to go support us. I really would like to get up to about $17.95, and I think at that point I will be able to start developing some sort of briefcase that Karen can carry around, so that we can improve the sound, as it were, or maybe the technical difficulties. I think in this instance, this was probably me. But let's go. Let's do this thing
All right.
before it gets any worse.
Here we go.
People know you for he for she.
Yes.
United Nations.
Wait, Allison, you gotta
Wait.
mute.
Oh shit.
Yeah, you're echoing.
I'm gonna start
Yeah. Wait.
over.
Don't start it. Yeah. There's something. My computer does this periodically. It doesn't want to send the sound through my mic, so I have to change everything. Just give me
Okay.
a second.
All right.
All right, so it's not even recognizing my mic today.
Tremendous.
Yes, indeed.
Oh my God.
Is it working now?
I'll try.
Yeah, it should be working.
People know you for he for she,
Yes.
the United
Okay, good.
Nations solidarity movement, bringing men into feminism. What's the latest with that program? What can you tell us about where that is and your involvement with it?
Hundreds of thousands of dupes and counting.
Okay, wait a second. Isn't this all right? Can I criticize this on a purely technical basis, which I have absolutely no platform of what to do whatsoever. But is that supposed to be the hook? Like, because the first 10 seconds is supposed to be the hook. That didn't
It's
really.
supposed to pull you in.
It's supposed.
supposed
Did
to
it?
pull you in, kicking and screaming, so that you have to continue watching. I love that she's on like an entertainment weekly show called Beyond Beautiful. She's not just beautiful; she's got substance.
Okay. Wait. All right. Let me look at this. Beyond beautiful. So she's not. Oh yeah. Well, her substance is that she's also vulnerable. Her substance is that she has the same kind of substance as a puppy.
Something like that. I don't know. They're trying. They're going to ask her some like questions that might take some intellectual ability to answer, and we'll see what happens.
Okay, let's find out. I'm excited. I feel like we've gotten the hook. We've got to the hook. Let's
Okay.
see how Emma Watson. Let's see what else Emma Watson has to offer the world besides.
What I would really love to focus on is there's a lot of missing data in that we have about women and girls, and there's a lot of these
Wait,
gaps.
wait. All right, stop. We have a lot of missing data.
No. There's a lot of missing data that we have that
About women and girls.
by definition that it's not missing. If you have it, it's not missing. But on women and girls, like, because women and girls are not the most studied demographic in society,
At least when it comes to victimization or any kind of vulnerability.
or like difficulty or disadvantage, or
It's almost like society likes it when women are damsels, when women need to be saved. It's almost like that, eh, Karen?
you know,
Almost.
you might be going too far with that, Allison, but you know, probably not.
I'll take your tepid approval and I'll run with it. Presumably he for she is about creating equality. Here's the thing, Emma. And I know that we're trying to delve into the depths of your intellect, but you're not off to a very good start here, because when you create an equivalent statement, you need to measure both sides. So you're saying that there's data missing on the female side? There's almost none on the male side. None that I've ever heard you talk about, except some sort of vague, if you support feminism, somehow men will be better off.
Yeah, no, if you support
For reasons.
feminism, maybe men will stop killing themselves, you know, because somehow, you know, and men will be allowed to be vulnerable and human too, right? So, you know, feminism being the radical notion that women are human, and also the radical notion that men need feminism in order to become human too, or
And
something.
that's equality. Yay! I mean, seriously, if you're the champion of equality, shouldn't you be also looking for the data for men and boys?
Yeah, and you know, like, there are, like you said, and like I pointed out in the ad, right? There are significant gaps in that data, and you know, we make this constant comparative statement that women have it worse than men, or women are disadvantaged compared to men, without ever measuring the situation for men. And you know, I'm almost positive that these are not the gaps that she's talking about. She's talking about, you know, like, there are gaps, I would assume, when it comes to measuring the situation for women across the globe, that are difficult to actually quantify, right? Like, there are gaps in the information, just like, say, with homelessness, right? It's really, really, really difficult to track the population of unsheltered homeless. And the reason why that is, like, there are lots of reasons why that is, because they don't have a fixed address. You don't necessarily know where to find them. They don't always have identification. You don't know whether you're double counting or you're missing people. Often they're not cooperative, and they don't want to talk to you, and they don't want to be counted, right? And so it's very difficult to actually accumulate accurate data on that particular population. I'm sure there are plenty of gaps in measurements for women and girls, like she's going to suggest, you know, things like illiteracy and stuff like that. Well, if you are not literate, you can't fill out a survey. And if you are in a tiny rural village that never gets visited by the bean counters, right, you're not going to get included in the estimates, right? So, I mean, like, yeah, there are gaps, but I don't think she's even going to address the fact that those gaps equally apply to men in that situation.
She's not going to address the elephant in the room, which is there may be gaps in our understanding of female victimhood, of how women are absolutely and utterly damsels forever and always, but there is, I would say that the word gap doesn't really apply when it comes to looking at men and boys' vulnerabilities. It's more like a complete gaping void. It's I mean, you'd have to have more to have gaps. You'd have to have something in there to have gaps. No, it's just a hand wave. It's like, oh yeah, we got all of this data here. We could really fill out the picture more for women and girls. And what about men and boys? Oh, why? I'll hand wave. She'll do the royal wave to that particular suggestion.
Well,
just imagine Emma Watson. That's irrelevant.
Why wouldn't she do that? I mean, because there's no money in tracking the vulnerabilities of men and boys, right? So
not really.
No.
Okay, let's try to get this under an hour.
That I'd love to try and fill and get some more information on, because when you can show the data on something, it makes something visible, and you know, it's very difficult to treat a problem that you just don't have.
Like what kind of problem?
Gosh, everything.
Okay, just stop here for a sec, Brian. Okay.
Did she just say treat a problem that you don't have?
Or did she just say it's hard to treat a problem you don't see?
That you don't have.
Yeah, she said it's hard to treat a problem you don't see, and then she said it's hard to understand a problem you don't see, and it's hard to treat a problem you don't have. I think when that second sentence was a slip of the tongue, and it was like it's hard to treat a problem when you don't have the data, is probably what she meant. I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt on that it was not a Freudian slip. It's hard to treat problems you don't actually have. You know,
I'm just a little bit confused, and I know this is petty, but is she trying to smirk or look concerned?
Look concerned.
Yeah, just getting sort of in the middle there. It's a little bit uncanny valley. I just want to, like, this is an equality officer, basically. This is an individual from the Ministry of Equality that's telling us we need more information on one side in order to create equality. It just boggles the mind. How do people listen to this and not just be either confused as hell by this individual saying, we haven't measured X enough, we need to measure X enough, and never, ever, ever talking about the measurement of Y? And how do they reconcile that with her being some sort of equality officer from the Ministry of Equality?
Well, because it's very, very easy to assume when somebody says that women have it worse than men, or women are worse off than men in any way where we feel sort of a disproportionate amount of sympathy or compassion for women, such as in terms of being victimized and marginalized, right? It's very easy for people to just believe that is something that's been proven. It's been, you know, you don't need to measure Y. We already know that the equation stands on its own. X is greater than Y. The victimization of women is greater than the victimization of men. That's already a formula in people's brains, right? She's just confirming that by saying, well, we need to see how bad women actually have it, right? We need a little bit more data to really determine how bad women have it and how to solve those problems, right? Based on that fundamental equation that everybody just takes as a given. And so, yeah, lots of people are going to say, yeah, no, that makes total sense to me, because they're not assessing it logically. They're assessing it through their emotions, and their emotions are telling them that, you know, violence against women is always wrong. Always, 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 you know, and things like that. So,
okay, just to put it out there, just to float it out there to the feminists who might be listening. If people uncritically accept your assertion that women have it worse, no matter what, you don't have to actually explain, yeah, I have measured X and Y, and I've come to this, I've developed this formula for how to compare the various different sufferings that men and women have, and I've been very comprehensive about both sides, and everything is clear and above board. If you don't see that, what is it that you're basing the logic on? Because you're not basing it on logic. You're not basing it on reason. You're not basing it on research. So what is it you're basing your automatic assumption that women have it worse on? Could it be because you think that women are weak, and weak people automatically already have it worse? And in that case, how can you complain? How can feminists complain about the social attitudes towards women that allow them to uncritically assert their women worsting narrative, and then complain that the same social attitudes towards women are bad in the context when it comes to being leaders and soldiers and policemen and everything? Because guess what? If you want to enjoy the privilege of uncritically being able to assert that women have it worse, without anybody ever asking you to actually prove it logically or rationally in any context, if you want to have that, the flip side of that is that women are going to be seen as weak, and people are not going to want them in positions of leadership or in positions where they have to be saved by them. They're going to be like, nope. They're going to nope themselves right out of that, but for exactly the same reason that Emma Watson can sit there and not ever be challenged. That she is the minister of equality, and she doesn't look at any other side but one. It's the same principle that underlies both. Women and people perceive women as weak. Therefore, all that Emma Watson has to do to prove women's oppression is just give a completely non-contextualized list of their sufferings, and nobody ever says, well, what's going on with men? Because women are weak, so they obviously are always worse off than men. But at the same time, nobody wants a weak person for a leader.
Yeah, but at the same time, she's saying, in her big speech at the UN, she said, well, men commit suicide. 4 out of 5 suicides are men. It's the leading cause of death in the UK for men ages 18 to 49 or something like that, right? And and she said that was a major problem and it needs to be addressed, and it does, and it is. But at the same time, she's essentially saying, in order to address this problem, we need men to rescue women, right? And you ever wonder whether the epidemic of male suicide is, it's exacerbated by that idea of putting women first, putting women before one's own putting women's emotional needs before one's own, in the terms of the expectations that are placed on men and all of those things, right? That somehow continuing to do what we're already doing is going to help these men that are suffering this epidemic because of the status quo, because of what we're doing, right? But just keep doing it, right? Do it more, sign the pledge, do it officially, right? Make a formal statement that you're doing it, and then all your problems will be solved. Like, I don't fucking...
Well, it'll be because and the other thing is that they also sort of shame the way men deal with their mental health, which of course will reduce their rate of mental health problems. It's generally a clusterfuck, and I think it's because they have this. Literally, I think it's because they have this unexamined assumption that women are weak, and they promote this propaganda that women are weak, because it goes both ways. If you're constantly promoting the idea that women are victimized, then you're also promoting the idea that women are weak. By definition.
Well, and that
feminism.
Women can't be leaders, women can't be in charge, women can't be trusted with leadership because they're weak, yeah?
Yeah, the feminism promotes the very attitude that in one context it basically coasts on, in another context it complains about. Emma Watson, you're the reason why Hillary wasn't elected, aside from Hillary being sort of a shitty candidate. But, the promotion of these attitudes towards women, well, first of all, if feminism stopped promoting these fucking attitudes of women's weakness, we might actually have a female candidate who's worth a damn. Because she would have had to go through the same merit process of delivering merit as male candidates do. Well, so we might actually, it wouldn't have been Hillary, but we might have had a female president by now.
Well, I think
Americans would have.
I think a lot of people, and maybe on a visceral level that they maybe felt subconsciously, a lot of people realized when every single time Hillary was criticized over something, whether it was the emails or whether it was her hawkishness in terms of wanting to be interventionalist with regime change and antagonistic towards other powers and all of those things, right? That any criticism of her amounted to misogyny. And so when you have, and it's not necessarily that any of these people think that misogyny is some kind of myth or that doesn't really exist, but when you actually have this trump card that you can play, no pun intended, trump card that you can play in terms of shut up, you're not allowed to criticize me because misogyny, right? And no matter how targeted the criticism is at her actions, she can say, well, you're only saying that because you hate women, right? And then have the media. And this is really, I think, where, like, if she had just played the misogyny card and the media hadn't played it along with her, right? People might have felt safer voting for Hillary in the election, right? But because essentially she played the misogyny card, and then the entire mainstream centrist and left-wing media, liberal media, played it along with her and essentially stomped on every single criticism as evidence of systemic misogyny, systemic hatred of women, and you're not allowed to say that because you're only saying that because you hate women, right? Do we really need leaders? I mean, because it's one thing to be weak and be a leader, right? You can take a weak leader and you can have them be controlled by other people, right? The people around them, if they're weak, right? But if they are beyond reproach and beyond criticism, if you are not allowed to even touch that, right? That is going into really dangerous territory. And she played the misogyny card, and the media played it all along with her. And everybody who was maybe sitting on the fence and thinking, well, I don't like Trump, I don't like Hillary, right? Well, what did they see? They saw a media that was 91% of which was negatively portraying Trump, right? 91% of the coverage in the mainstream was negative of Trump during the election, right? And they saw a media that was bending over backwards and scrambling and kicking people's faces in, right? And getting people fired to protect Hillary from any criticism whatsoever while playing the misogyny card, right? You can't have a leader who will not brook any criticism of her, right? And then a media who's willing to say, yeah, no, you can't say anything negative about her, right? And have any sort of functioning freaking government.
Yep. And I just want to emphasize this point. Emma, you're the reason why a woman wasn't elected in 2016, because you insist on promoting the social attitudes that prevent women from being respected in positions of power. You can't have it both ways. You want to be a victim? Be a victim. But don't expect anybody to respect you as in a position where you require strength. Let's hit it, Brian. Hit that button.
Sexual violence to FGM to literacy rates to everything, really. Often because...
Well, I'm convinced. Everything, really. I am totally convinced. Oh, sorry, keep going, Brian. I just had to put that out.
Yeah, no, we can't measure things down to the very last individual who has been a victim of these things. So therefore,
so much victimhood being wasted.
We need more data. We just need more data. We need more data to know that FGM is a problem. We need more data to know that sexual violence is a problem. Like, no, we don't. We know that those things are problems. And if we were honest with each other and honest in our research, right, we would understand the problems a lot better. And regardless of knowing down to the very last woman whose clitoris had been hacked off, right, and whose hadn't, we would understand, we would be willing to freaking understand what are the cultural factors and the social psychological factors that actually make this continue to happen, right? So that's not about data. That's not about statistics. That's not about how many women globally are victims of female genital mutilation. That's about, let's try and understand what are the things that actually drive this, right? And nobody wants to look at that because the primary driver of female genital mutilation is norms that are decided by mothers and grandmothers, and decisions that are made by mothers and grandmothers, sometimes against the wishes of the men in the family. So
okay.
Thing really, often because we often don't measure a lot of things that happen within what we consider to be the private sphere. So this year I really want to focus on statistics and information and data
Oh my god, she sounds so smart.
Oh yeah, no, we don't focus on the things that happen within the private sphere, because if we did, we would know that it is grandma or mom who is making the decision to cut, baby Jenny's genitals.
Well, I mean, more data is always good. I really don't think we need more data to convince people that women are victims. I think that this is something that people generally take for granted. But, let's I mean, the way I hear this is like, there's so much victimhood. There's so much victimhood. The Ministry of Equality. There's so much female victimhood. The Ministry of Equality could exploit, and it's being pushed. We just don't have the measurements. We don't have the way to get in there and mine out that female victimhood for us to exploit. So we need to improve that. But anyway, let's see what the man says.
It's like the primary blind spot that guys have about this movement. About
it's getting good.
Feminism, about doing the right thing. Just what is it that we're not seeing?
I think the word is really difficult because it seems to inherently suggest a preferential treatment of the feminine over the masculine because it has the feminine in the word, and I think that's a real oversight. And
oh God, I got a quote, Karen. We don't blame men. We just happen to name everything bad after men and everything good after women. Just so happened. And just the way our delicate little petals of our brains just floated downstream into that.
Pure coincidence.
Pure coincidence.
Pure coincidence. All the bad things in the world are named after men, and all of the good things in the world are named after women.
Can I point something out, though? If women didn't like a name, men would change it, most likely. If women felt alienated, if they felt
well, they did. Men have changed lots of names. Men have changed fireman to firefighter, and policeman to police officer, and chairman to chair or chairperson, and councilman and alderman to alderperson and council person, right? They've changed all those things. The majority of the people who make those decisions have changed those words to please the most vocal women out there who said these words displease us.
Yep. Sorry, I was chewing gum. That was pretty bad of me. And I didn't mute my microphone. Oh, fuck. That was all my fault. You guys can blame me in the comments, and I know you will.
I didn't hear you chewing gum.
Oh, really? Okay, well, let's just go with that story then. All right. So okay, so men have changed a whole bunch of words to suit women's preferences. And if men are upset by your word, Emma, maybe you should change it. I mean, considering how many words that men have changed, or people have changed, whatever, to suit you guys, maybe if men don't like the word feminism, like you guys don't like the word fireman, or man, period, to refer to women. I mean, how is it that they can make it a point of oppression to say, yeah, we don't like the fact that the gender neutral term man also refers to women. But it's also a point of oppression that men don't want everything good in the world to explicitly, they would like to actually be part of that. They like a little bit of that action, that the word that references everything good in the world excludes them.
Well, and not just that, the word that represents everything bad in the world is
based on
inherently masculine.
Yeah, maybe take a page from your own book, Emma. Change your fucking name if men don't like it. Men have changed a hell of a lot of words to suit you guys, and you have framed that as oppression, that those words didn't suit you. But what's this then? What's this multi-billion-dollar industry that's called this one word that's all about being everything good in the world and explicitly excludes men? I would feel uncomfortable with that.
And it doesn't just explicitly exclude men. It explicitly names men as the perpetrators of everything bad in the world.
Yeah, that sounds like a really, really shitty thing. And if there was a masculinism and they named everything bad after matriarchy, and incidentally, we very rarely use the term matriarchy on Honey Badger Radio, if ever. And I would probably feel uncomfortable with that, Emma. I would feel really uncomfortable with that. But, just don't have any self-reflection in this. And continue to do this. And continue to shame men who feel uncomfortable about being made the devil and being blamed for everything. And okay, let's find out what she's okay. So
we name men BL's a patriarchy.
Yeah, we named men BL's a patriarchy. They seem a little uncomfortable with that. We named women, the god femme, wonderful everything good in the world ism, womenism, feminism. We named everything good after women, and men seem to be a little uncomfortable with that. Okay, so Emma, why is that unacceptable? Let's find out what she says.
real oversight and a misunderstanding.
Rather than just basic fairness.
Rather than just gender, across, just gender equality across the board. This isn't girls are better than boys, boys are better than girls. This is just everyone deserves.
And what you're saying is men throughout all of history have been treated equally, but women have been treated unequally. Right? Like, I don't, like, we're talking about gender equality here. We're not talking about men being treated, how some men are treated compared to other men. We're talking about male privilege and female oppression, right? We are talking about men being the default in terms of how they should be treated, how human beings should be treated. That is essentially the entire premise of feminism. You treat men this way, you should treat women that way too. Oh, except in this and this and this and this and this, because if you did, that would be like misogyny or something. Like, I don't, stop pretending it's about equality. Like, if you're going to keep the name feminism, if you're going to keep the term patriarchy, if you're going to keep fucking going the way you're going, stop saying it's about equality. Stop saying that it's about something it's not. It's not about equality.
It's right in the founder's words. Society is to be judged by the benefit towards women. It affords women. And you can tell from the examples that Charles Fourier makes that he does not give a shit about the situation for men. Literally, society should be judged exclusively, only, and solely on the benefits it affords women.
So every woman could be living like a queen, and every man and every child could be living like slaves. But if you could organize society, in some way that would provide more benefit to women than they already have living like queens, if they could all live like empresses, then you are failing women.
Yeah, basically. And this entire movement has come out of that source. And what a surprise. Everything good is named after women. Everything bad is named after... And the devil is literally a social system created by men to benefit men. Think about the parallel here, like the mirror image here. Feminism was founded. Society should be judged morally by how it benefits women. And what's its devil? Is a social system that is designed specifically to benefit men over women. Its devil is an exact opposite of itself. That it supposes it, and feminism looks at its devil and says it is so huge and powerful relative to us. We're the exact opposite measure. We're not just good. We are also for the benefit of women. We are the exact opposite of measure of what we call patriarchy. And patriarchy is so much more powerful than us, even though it has absolutely no fucking paper trail. It has any use of hard influence, of any kind of influence, either social, financial, political, will leave a paper trail of some sort. And yet patriarchy leaves no paper trail. Never. No phone calls, no memos, no letters, no goddamn invoices. No forensic accountant would ever be able to find patriarchy anywhere in the world. And yet we can find feminism, which is the system by which society is judged for the benefit of women. We can find feminism everywhere. Feminism has a paper trail the size of the fucking Grand Canyon.
Yeah, well, just the paperwork at UN Women.
Yeah, it's the paper trail that feminism leaves is probably worth in itself. The refuse that they fill landfills in, just leaving a trail of their activities, is probably worth millions of dollars. Just their garbage is worth millions of dollars. And yet they still keep turning around and pointing to this evil character known as patriarchy, this gigantic monolithic institution that there is absolutely no evidence of. There's no paper trail of. Huge paper trail for feminism, absolutely no paper trail for patriarchy.
I'm starting to think that the patriarchy is like lizards from outer space.
It's something, yeah. But it's obviously the great evil. And I just want to point out that her face has finally settled on smirk. I knew that was emerging. She's got the smirk on.
Well, no matter what expression she has, her eyes seem like really not expressive at all. So maybe she's snorting too much coke. I don't know.
Oh, well, who knows? But I mean, let's not cross dispersions on her drug use. But I'm just saying she looks a little smirky now. It's actually a little less uncanny valley. It looks like she's settled on I'm going to smirk about this. Okay, continue, Brian.
At whatever it is. I think also because a lot of prejudice and certainly misogyny is so normalized, it's like it's right under people's noses. So when you raise it, there's kind of like we've dealt with that. Women got the vote ages ago. Like, this isn't a thing. And then when you start to kind of unravel it for people, they go, oh, I didn't think about that, or I didn't think about this. And if I were to say I was a feminist, it would be a personal attack on you as a man.
Okay, so just stop. Yeah, if you would say, you know what? I know that you're a black person, but the fact that I name everything good in the world after white people isn't a personal attack on you. And the fact that I name everything bad in the world after black people is not a personal attack on you. I mean, it's an attack on your race, but not a personal attack on you.
And if you get upset about it, you're just demonstrating the systemic, society-wide hostility and prejudice against whites.
Yeah, look at the framing here. Feminism is judging society by how it benefits women. And misogyny is any questioning of feminism. So any questioning and saying, hey, maybe society should benefit people other than women? Can that be a thing? That's misogyny. Any questioning of that is misogyny. This is the framing. Any questioning that society should be created for the benefit of white people is racism against white people.
Well, and you know what
this is what she's constructing.
No, and she's taking the same tack that Rebecca Watson did, and that Anita Sarkeesian has, in the sense of, misogyny is all around us. It's there. And, but people have to be educated in how to see it, right? In how to notice it. And it's like, so you can literally have books on the shelves in your kids' school called, school library, called Boys Are Stupid, Throw Rocks at Them. That's not a problem. But, if you sort of make this bizarre, convoluted case for why women getting custody of their kids almost always when they request it, right? That's actually based on misogynistic assumptions about the role of women. That totally, once you point it out, it makes total sense. Once you make the case for it, once you go through all of the gymnastics that are required to explain how a woman getting exactly what she fucking wants and a man being excluded from the lives of his children against his protests by a social and legal institution, right? How that's actually prejudice against women. Once you make that case, people can see it. Once you actually explain it to them, like it should be explained.
Yeah, it's like you're pushing this rock down a hill that totally doesn't exist, according to Emma Watson. Because the explanations that feminists use to explain all of the shit that they see that nobody else sees, except are so convoluted and bizarre. They're not logical. They only exist because they aren't subject to any kind of logical rigor, like the evolution of ideas. But I wanted to point something out here. When you talked about throw rock, boys are stupid, throw rocks at them. That's not, misinjury is not real, so that's not bad. But complaining about it is. And what's interesting is that what she refers to as misogyny maps exactly to anyone saying, hey, wait a second, men are half the human race. Shouldn't society also be judged by benefiting them? Like, aren't they part of the equation? That's what she terms misogyny. And it maps perfectly to the idea that feminism is judging society by the benefit of women. And then the evil in society is judging society by the benefit of men. Any situation where you say, hey, but what about the situation? What about men? Don't they get a say? Don't they get to be brought into? She will call misogyny. Any situation. And that maps perfectly
Yeah.
to this, and it's supremacist.
Yeah,
And
no.
she can't see that.
Yeah, no, and it dovetails beautifully with, that sort of that statement that used to be ubiquitous like 7 or 8 years ago. Oh noes, what about the men's, right? Or sorry, I hurt your man feels or whatever, right? Beard tears and all of those things, right? Like, yeah, why should we care? Why should we care about you? Oh, boo hoo, man, baby, right? But then they pay some kind of pathetic lip service to, oh, suicide's the leading cause of death for, men from their teens to their 40s. Yeah, honestly, if you don't care, just say it. Like, I can live with that. I can live with the fact that you don't care about the situation for men, that you don't fucking care. But what I can't stand is this idea that you're just essentially dangling like a freaking sausage or a begging strip in front of these men and saying, oh, if you just I'll give you this treat that is my superficial expression of caring about your issues, right? As long as you obey my every command. That's really all this is, this he for she bullshit.
Well, yeah, and it's predicated on this idea that society always be structured in order to benefit women, which is the foundational principle of feminism. You're not going to get away from it. The foundational principle of feminism is supremacy. And every act that feminism has engaged in has been supremacy, not equality, supremacy. And they keep hiding behind, let me finish. They keep hiding behind the dictionary definition of equality. It's like they've latched onto this word. And nobody can conceive of the idea that people who say, oh, yes, I embody this trait may not actually do so. It's like we live in a world that all the Ministry of Truth has to do is put up a sign that says we are truth, and everybody fucking agrees with them or believes them. The Ministry of Love, we are love. Oh, yeah, of course. That there could be no other reason. There could be no other possible way. Feminism is equality. We just have to agree with them because they assert this shit. We don't look at their behavior. We don't look at their fucking founder who explicitly said this is about benefiting women. I don't give a shit about men. And we don't have to look at every single act that they've done, which has been supremacy. We don't no. Feminism is about equality. And the Ministry of Love, the Ministry of Peace is really about peace, not war. The Ministry of Truth is really about truth, not lies. The Ministry of
equality is really about equality and not women,
and not supremacy. Just uncritically just believe this shit. No, well, you know what? I'm done with that. But let's
what gets me too is this sort of faith-based, promise. It's sort of like the promise of God. If you live your life in a virtuous state, right? Oh, you may suffer your entire life, but you will be promised this reward in when you pass on, when you pass from this life to the next, you will be given this beautiful reward, right? And this is the empty promise of he for she, right? That when women's lives are completely free of difficulty, obstruction, problems, difficulties, disadvantages, when women exist in a state of perfect happiness, right, and equality and respect, then this will magically be inherited by men. It will somehow if you fix all of women's problems, men's problems will magically be fixed.
Well, they'll transcend because we'll be in a society of a perfect society. A perfect society is a society which manages to give women every single possible benefit, including every single possible conceivable future benefit ever. That would be a perfect society. And when men are in that perfect society, they will transcend into and have all their problems will be gone because women's problems will be gone.
Disappear.
They'll just magically disappear. But I'm going to emphasize this. She has said, okay, she's indicated that men do not like the term feminism because it's referring to everything good and it's tying it to women. Oh, God forbid that a group of people be like, you're tying everything negative to us and everything positive to yourselves and be upset with that. And she's saying that when men point that out, and they say, well, we're sort of getting the feeling like feminism is a supremacy movement. She is essentially saying, no, feminism is about equality, and you believe that it's a supremacy movement because you're just so full of patriarchal evil. This is essentially the framing that I'm getting. Is nobody else getting this framing?
Yeah, no, I'm getting that.
No,
Yeah.
I don't have to prove that feminism is actually not about supremacy. I don't have to prove that. You have a problem in questioning feminism. Essentially, she's making men into problems because they are questioning feminism. That's pretty fucked up, my friend. Ho, ho, ho. Okay, Brian, let's go.
Man, as opposed to a patriarchal system, or something much larger than an individual.
I just want to add
person. I
just want to add here that I had some stupid cunt person, I believe it was a feminist, on one of my recent videos. I think it was the Why I Am Not a Feminist video, who says that feminists never, they don't personally know of any feminist who ever uses the term patriarchy.
Oh, fuck. Okay,
No,
Brian.
Patriarchy is just not even a thing within feminism. It's
God, for fuck's sake.
never mentioned. It's not really a thing. It doesn't form any kind of basis for the belief system or for the advocacy. It's just not. It's not relevant to feminism.
Well,
Feminism
this
is not about patriarchy.
This is exactly what I'm pointing out, though, Karen. I don't know why I called you Jonathan. She is essentially saying that feminism is this thing, and any criticism or deviation from believing that feminism is this thing is actually patriarchy. Can you go back a bit, Brian? Let's get her full thought to make sure that we're not distorting it. Like maybe 5 or 6 seconds.
Personal attack on you as a man, as opposed to a patriarchal system.
Oh,
or
okay, all right.
Something much larger.
So what I'm getting is that somehow, by blaming all men, she's not blaming this individual man.
Yeah.
But blaming all black people for crime, she's not blaming an individual black person for. Do you realize what you just said there?
Because there's Uncle Toms, Allison, and there's house niggers, and you can't blame the Uncle Toms and the house niggers. You can only blame the thugs and the 50 cents and the. No.
That she's actually saying the exact opposite. If she was actually saying this to a black person, this would be regarded as racist. It is not the choices of individual black people to create crime. It is the responsibility of blackness itself that creates crime. Yeah. Do you fucking realize what you just fucking said, Emma? And then you turn around and say your movement isn't a supremacy movement? Oh. It's not individual men who create crime. It's just the collective choices of all men. Therefore, all men have a share of a small amount of guilt, if not all of the guilt for crime everywhere. You have just made, if you made that statement to black people, you would be rightly called out for being a fucking bigot. But somehow, when you make the statement that it's not individual men who are responsible, but all men, and some sort of collective guilt, somehow when you direct it at men, everybody their brains just fall out of their head and they're like, yeah, you're right. That makes it so much better. It's not me as an individual that makes me bad. It's my penis. It's my black skin. Oh, that makes it better. That makes it so much better, Emma Watson.
Yeah.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Sorry, Brian. Continue.
Individual person. I think also men think that they can't be feminists. That's a big misunderstanding. Some of the best feminists I know are men.
Why do you think they feel they can't? Like that's not masculine if you're a feminist?
Yeah, that it's not masculine if you're feminist, that only women can be feminists because it's about, again, it comes back down to that misunderstanding of...
To the word.
Okay, gotta stop it. Yeah. Gotta stop it, Brian. Because of the the fucking copyright.
Yeah,
no,
it's just a big misunderstanding. It's just, you're just not understanding what I'm saying. I'm saying X. I said X, and you said that I said X, but you're just not understanding that what I'm really saying is X.
I'm really saying whatever is most advantageous to me in the moment. I just want to deal with the feminist men are not masculine thing. There needs to be a little, we need to pull out some stuff from masculine, because women can be independent, self-directing, not servile. You know, these are aspects of being an adult, gender neutral adult. What they're saying that feminist men are, and they probably use the term not masculine, but what they're saying is that they're obsequious, slave-minded, and the truth is that they tend to fall into two camps, and both camps are a little bit slightly, you know, off-putting to people, to some people, many people. The one is the obsequious, servile ass kisser, and nobody likes that. It's not feminine or masculine. They just don't like that. Men can be like that. Women can be like that. Both men and women generally are disliked when they're like that. And then there's the kind that's sort of actually quite hyper masculine, who's drawn into this feeling of being the big dick, the one good man with the harem of women.
No, the recent Russian Deadpool challenge to Bering, come at me, bro, come at me, right? You gonna pick on a woman? Oh yeah, no, you pick on someone who can take you on, Bering. Come at me, bro, come at me, bro, come at me, bro. Yeah.
Oh God. But so there's sort of two camps.
Masculinity. That's, you know, like there is a certain healthiness, you know, involved in being strong, being confident, understanding that you have the ability to help others and those kinds of things. Those are all healthy things, and those are all wonderful things. But when you have this sort of exaggerated chest beating and you know, the hyper exaggerated sort of come at me because you picked on a woman, and you shouldn't pick on a woman, you should pick on a man like me, I could take you on, blah, blah.
Yeah, and you don't see the arrogance, the hypermasculinity in that feminist male posturing. Like there is those two camps. And to be honest, they're both unpleasant. So I would say
actually, no, I think there's a third camp.
Third camp?
A third camp. There is the third camp.
Want women to shut up?
No, the third camp of feminist men are the Hugo Schweitzers of the world, who are essentially looking for absolution from their individual choices and their individual failings. Oh, I fucked my female students, sure, you know, but that wasn't me. That was masculinity, right?
It was patriarchy.
It was patriarchy that did it. It wasn't me. It wasn't my choices. Society, you know, made me behave this way because that's how men are supposed to behave. And, you know, in a patriarchal system, you know, we're all just robots following orders or some shit, right? Like Kyle Payne, who was arrested and convicted of, his job was to go around to university campuses and give lectures similar to the Jackson Katz ones called She Fears You, about sexual assault and consent and all kinds of stuff to university-age men, and you know, raise awareness of the sexual assault epidemic on U.S. campuses. That was his job, right? And then he was convicted of sexually assaulting a passed-out co-ed and taking pictures of it, right? Like I think that some of the men who are attracted to feminism are looking to offload individual responsibility for their bad actions, in, you know, and the narrative of toxic masculinity and patriarchy allows them to do that.
Yep, that's great. Feminism, thank you. You've made it so that good men who are decent sorts have to share collective guilt with assholes, and then you've given the assholes excuses. Thank you. Oh, fuck, I feel so much better that feminism is looking out for my interests as a woman. Jesus fucking But okay, all right. Just one last thing on this point. Feminism brings out the worst in men and women. And this female vulnerability, this fetishization of female vulnerability, and feminism is not the first group of women or men to create a fucking ideology around fetishizing women vulnerabilities or social attitudes and shit around feminism. There's plenty of others. But they bring out the worst. They bring out the most god-awful, hyper-masculine, dick-swinging posturing from some men. They bring out the most, I don't even want to call it effeminate, but just slimy, obsequious ass-kissing from some men. And then they bring out the most, I don't want to have to take responsibility for what I do with my dick from some men. So it's not really that people think that feminism makes men feminine. It just makes them worse, or it brings out the worst, and it allows them to not take personal responsibility for their actions, or it allows them to engage in this icky, just sniveling, servile quality. Or it allows them to it allows them to posture.
Spreads out the blame.
Yeah, it spreads out the blame, or it gives them some men another way to posture and make women feel like what is this? Come at me, bro. I'm a man. I can take it. The women's they're so delicate and weak and fragile, and I'm gonna be their big protector. The fuck? God, can't we just be humans? All right, go ahead, Brian. Thank you for all your work.
I can't touch that. That's I like to joke about the man box, which is like you can only be a man if you fulfill these certain qualities and you stay within this.
this like saving women. He for she. Emma.
Yeah, I know. Okay,
I talk about the man box, but I've just explained how men aren't. They're the box that I want to place men in. I don't like the man box because I've got a competing box that I want to place men in.
Pretty much.
Okay, keep going, Brian.
Of like, you're in your man box and you're safe in the man box, and something about, for some men, about going near feminism is a step out of the man box.
Because they know it's just so fragile. It's just
going
to fall apart.
I know, it's going to fall apart.
They need to hold that box.
Oh my God, this masculinity is so fragile bullshit. Oh my fucking God. Okay, listen, Mr. Cardigan Sweater. Yeah, maybe your masculinity is fragile, but not everybody's masculinity is fragile. So stop projecting your own insecurities onto other men. Please, please, oh please, please, please. And stop trying to pretend that men who oppose feminism only do so because their masculinity is being threatened by strong, capable women. Because that's not why the majority of the men who vocally oppose feminism do it.
I just want to point something out. If you're going to define men in terms of how they benefit women, and I'm sorry, Emma, he for she fits very, 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 very squarely in the category of defining men morally by their benefit to women. If you're going to define men in terms of a service identity, that identity by definition has to be fragile, because at any moment men can lose it. Otherwise, how do you use that identity to motivate them? I think that if you actually were in a world where men did not have a service identity and their masculinity was robust, I think we would be living in a very different world. And I don't think you would be on that chair talking to anyone. I think you would probably be serving up hash and making fries, Emma.
Robust.
And you know what? You know what? You'd be more useful. You would be more useful, and you would be doing a more honest job if you were a fry cook. And that is what you would be.
Like me. Yep.
If masculinity really was robust and it wasn't based on this fragile, if you have a service identity, you constantly have to serve to earn your identity. That is the definition of having a fragile identity. But he for she is exactly that idea that men must serve in order to earn an identity. And that means that masculinity has to be fragile. So why you would mock men for being what you want them to, well, what the fuck? It's a supremacy movement. Of course she's going to mock men for being what she wants them to be.
What she needs them to be.
What she needs them to be. Of course she's going to do that because it's a dishonest supremacy movement. But I don't think you'd like the world. Or maybe you would. Maybe the Emma Watson in a world where masculinity is robust, where masculinity isn't contingent on women's approval, or at least is reduced in that quality, where masculinity is something that we say, you know what? You've gone through puberty. You have now attained an adult level of serum testosterone. That makes you part of a group of people that's valuable to us just for existing. If that was the world we lived in, maybe Emma Watson would actually be a happier person. Maybe she would be, because she wouldn't have half of her brain sitting on the floor marinating in some victimhood identity. There would be no benefit to it, because men, she wouldn't be vomiting out her vulnerabilities, and men wouldn't be picking through the chunks, the warm chunks of enzyme drenched fucking, I don't know what she eats, supermodel popcorn, whatever the fuck they feed women like her, and they wouldn't be picking through the chunks to find something that they could use to hold up. Oh my God, it's Emma Watson's vulnerability vomit. I'm a person now. I'm a real person. I can serve this.
Yeah,
I can be a man.
I mean, I know that the UN is kind of in a between a rock and a hard place when it comes to things like this, because they want to make these initiatives where they, essentially say, here's our spokesperson, and there's somebody that you recognize. Everybody recognizes this person, right? At the same time, they have that means that they have to choose a rich and famous multi-millionairess, right, in order to fill that role, and that person is completely divorced from the. And I think honestly, we need to address the ability of somebody in Emma Watson's position to even begin to understand the concerns of regular women. I don't think she does. So
I got a piece of Emma Watson's victim vomit. I'm a real boy now. I can serve.
Yeah, she got paid. She got paid like $500,000 less on her last movie than so and so male actor did. Yeah, I spent 15 years of my life searching through couch cushions for freaking milk money. Okay, for my kids. So.
But she speaks for you.
She does. She absolutely speaks to my struggles. I recall being called bossy when I was a kid too. Actually, I don't recall being called bossy. I always recall being called contrary and ornery and a professional arguer. I was a professional arguer. Oh, and a Philadelphia lawyer. That's what my mother called me right from the time when I was teeny tiny. I was our family's Philadelphia lawyer.
Yeah, I was I guess I'm just Dutch. Those of you who are Dutch will understand what I'm saying when I say that. I'm just fucking Dutch. It's impossible for me to not say what I'm thinking. I have managed it sometimes. It's extremely painful. Usually I end up bleeding from some orifice after I do that. It's extremely difficult.
Oh,
I don't like to do
God, Allison, the misogyny. Are you talking about vaginas?
No, I'm not talking. What? Oh.
No, but Trump, blood was coming out of her nose and her ears and her whatever.
What the fuck?
Don't you remember? He took flack for that. It was what's her name, Megyn Kelly, right? And he was like, she was so mad. There was blood coming out of her eyes and her ears and her whatever. And everybody's like, oh my God, he made reference to Megyn Kelly's vagina. He's a misogynist. She was on her period.
Okay. All right.
Let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on.
Identity structure, definitely. And I really sense that. And also, no one likes to feel, they feel that there's blame attached to that word. And I think that's very difficult.
You think? Oh my fucking God, there's blame attached. Hey guys, there's no blame attached to feminism.
No blame attached to the word patriarchy.
Patriarchy. Jesus Christ.
Oh my God.
Oh, okay. All right. Do we have any final words for this? I think we've beaten this to death.
Okay, well, I do want to say that, I was quite heartened by some recent headlines about Emma Watson, that she, the backlash over he for she was so strong, so intense, that she couldn't even get out of bed for, a couple of days. She was so despondent over it. And but then when I read a little further, none of the backlash that she was talking about was coming from the men who were like, what the fuck is this shit? Right? It was actually coming from Black women and, intersectional feminists. And, they were essentially saying, what the fuck is some rich, white, cis hetero woman, privileged woman doing, deigning to speak for, the global sisterhood. And she just has no freaking idea what, regular women go through and all of this other shit. Right. So it was the backlash that she cares to even notice, right, is the backlash that comes from women. You are not serving women the way certain women desire to be served, with you as their spokesperson, right? She didn't address any of the backlash in terms of men. Actually, this is the first time I've heard her essentially even address any kind of backlash or reluctance on the part of men to embrace her movement. And that would be the man box and the fragile male ego, which is completely fucking retarded. But it just, so I don't know. I just wanted to say that it's not like, I object to Emma Watson. I object to he for she. I object to it on multiple grounds. One of those grounds is that it does blame men, right? It blames men as a collective group, but holds them individually responsible to do something about it. And then on top of that, it does not speak for, and I think that this is one of the criticisms that other feminists have justifiably leveled against her, that she has no fucking clue what it's like to be an ordinary woman, right? And so I think like it's just such a freaking, like, if I had been her and the UN had said to me, I want you to, spearhead this thing, this program, we want you to be our spokesperson for, our goodwill ambassador for women's rights, I would not have touched that with a 10-foot pole.
Okay. I just had an idea. You know what would be much more fun than all this feminist bullshit? Okay. What they should do is they should hold some sort of fight competition. For the woman who should be the voice of all women across the world.
Yellow wrestling.
Yeah, just do that, and the woman who wins can be exactly as vapid as this, and we'll just ignore her. But we can make a really cool crown, and
but I think honestly, if you actually put two women or a whole bunch of women and just like narrowed it down to like the one that takes everyone, right? Like, wins the whole tournament, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you actually made it be something based on physical strength, the determination to play through the pain, right? All of those sort of things that we deal with sort of masculine sports, right? I think you would actually, you'd have a better chance of having somebody who was grounded in reality.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, if we did it that way instead of some sort of beauty contest or a victim off, like a victim off, that would be.
Yeah, no. It should absolutely be like, like freaking two women enter, one woman leaves, all the way up until all the challengers are eliminated, and then there's one who fucking played through the pain and just defied all the odds and came out on top and smushed that other woman's fucking face into the mud or the jello or whatever and held it down for long enough for her to tap out. I think maybe you would actually find somebody who had some strength of character.
Something worth saying.
Yeah.
Or grunting, whatever. No, I think it would be an improvement over our current system. And it would be fun to watch, I'd imagine. A lot of fun to watch. A lot more fun than this, whatever this was.
Why is this beyond beauty? It was beyond beauty.
Beyond beauty. Oh, okay. Well, that convinced me. All right. So we're at the end now. I'm just going to inform those people who are our patrons that our after show topic, along with our salted peanuts, which can be found in the front comment, is talking. It's an InfoWars article that discusses comments being more influential than the actual articles that they are on. And it's a really interesting, it's an interesting thing because apparently things like this, like what we're doing right now, very much has a bigger influence on how you perceive Emma Watson than the original video. Isn't that interesting? That listening to Honey Badger Radio can actually annihilate her influence. I mean, right now it's only annihilating her influence for about 600 people, but that's 600 people who would otherwise might have had more of a positive attitude towards Emma Watson and what she has to say. I mean, because her as a person, we don't really know her as a person. We wish the best for her, Emma Watson as a person. But in terms of what she's spouting out of her mouth hole, you have a much more negative or opinion of it, having listened to our commentary, than you would have had otherwise. And consider that. Consider that us talking back to these people actually changes how they're perceived. Quite honestly, we cannot let the Emma Watsons of the world have the last say in gender. And that's why we're here doing what we do. And that's why we always do this at the end. If you like what we do and you want to make sure that Emma Watson isn't the final word in gender and the people who talk like her aren't the final word in gender, please support us and the work that we do. www.patreon.com/honeybadgerradio. It's basically up to you guys to make sure that there is a response to these women.